everybody, welcome to Homertown Hockey. My name's Phil Bittner, joined in person by special guest Dylin Idle, and all the way from Minnesota, as always, Colton Gogger.
What's up? How you doing, Dylan?
Doing good. Glad to be back. Round two.
Let's go.
So the playoffs started. It's really exciting because going into this week, we didn't know when the fuck playoff games were actually gonna be started. It's also less exciting because the Penguins got it fucking handed to them today. Little more exciting for you. Before we get into that, though, we have a little bit of news.
Yeah, let's run through the news, and let's just go from there.
Oh, and also, I am hungover as shit.
Oh, why is that?
So last night, I went to the arcade bar out here, Analog. I run into a guy I used to work with at the Casey's in Eldridge. Before that, I went to the bar with some old friends from high school that I went to. One of the guys was the guitarist from my first band ever. Worst band name ever. We were called Meet Me at the Garden Gate. Fucking terrible band name.
It's worse.
You may recognize us from the 2005 North Scott High School talent show, where we covered A Boy Brushed Red, Living in Black and White by Under Oath. So we go down to this bar, and my buddy Ivory from Casey's is there. He's hanging out with another kid we went to school with, and I'm there with two kids that I went to high school with that I just ran into and went there. So there's five of us, and we're playing skee ball. But we come across this crew of five other guys, and it turned into this big fucking tournament against each other for drinks. And it got to be the most heated skee ball scenario that has ever happened.
So you had a Stanley Cup playoff with skee ball.
Oh, it was full on. Like, our crew, marched up to their crew snapping simultaneously, Tale of Two Cities shit. We played, we each had, both teams had 5 people, and each round was best of 5. The game was best of 3 for the rounds. We lost. Also, the assholes I was playing with, I think I'm the only one that actually bought someone from the other team a drink. But I won both my rounds, so I had my guy. The second round, they beat us before it got to me. We had me as the game 5 guy. It didn't get to me, but yeah, dude, just really fucking stupid how skee ball got.
It's skee ball. The little things you go like that with.
Yep.
Not that intense.
Yeah. Of all the things that could get heated, I'm a little bit ashamed that I was a part of. I went up to the bar after. I told the bartender, I was like, I just lost a game. I gotta buy this guy a shot. I was like, we just had a little tournament going. She's like, yeah, I know. Everyone in the bar has become aware of the tournament you guys had going on.
Oh my god.
It just got it got to the point where I thought we might throw down at one point.
Fighting over skee ball. There we go.
I hate myself.
This is what your life has become. You're willing to fight people over skee ball.
Well, the plus side is I didn't get fired as the coach of the New York Rangers. And David Quinn did.
That's a segue.
That's the best segue we've ever done.
Yeah, David Quinn fired. We talked about it last week. They're pretty much cleaning house.
Yeah, and they already interviewed Gerard Gallant after receiving permission from the Golden Knights. So I think it's going to be Gallant or somebody else, but I don't know about you guys.
I think the Rangers have a real youth movement going on right now, and I think a guy like Gallant that is, players coach, just all positive reinforcement. If he knows you're good, he just tells you to go play your game. That's all the reports we heard from the beginning of him in Vegas. He might be a perfect fit for where that team is at right now. Same time, I'm not convinced that David Quinn needed to be fired.
I think that is Drury wanting to bring in his guy.
Yeah, that was inevitable.
I think Drury is just James Dolan's guy. Drury has been out there. He's done the work to where he's been coveted for this type of position that he got as the GM and president. I'm pretty sure what happened with the whole rebuild thing, if you were really going for that rebuild, it doesn't make sense for them to fire everyone right before it starts working.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're going to ask the fans to be patient, but we're not going to be patient with our own people.
But at the same time, with this rebuild, their entire plan right now, all the fans are banking on this Eichel acquisition potentially.
We'll be getting to that. Yeah.
I think all of their players are expendable, and I don't really think they have their core set for the way that they want it quite yet. I think that they're still planning on their future a little further ahead. They're not quite where they want to be. They're not ready to win yet.
And I agree with that, but I do think that this whole cleaning house to get Drury in there, other teams have wanted Drury, and he's been saying, no, I want to be in New York.
Mm-hmm.
I'm convinced at this point with Drury, they knew when they issued that rebuild thing that they wanted Drury, but they didn't want to put him in while the team is still rebuilding and gonna suck at first. I think they waited until they're ready where Drury is stepping into a good position here, and he's ready to have success right away.
And you just gave him an excuse to go get his guy, whether it be Gallant or Pocket or somebody else to bring in.
Alright, so I'm going to do one of those things that we do where I bring something up and we start frantically searching and it throws us off the rails. Do Drury and Gallant have any prior ties, like through coaching or anything?
No, I already looked.
I didn't think so.
No, they didn't. No.
Yeah.
Not from what I've seen.
I mean, I'm sure the Rangers are going to be fine. It's not a bad move. It just seems a little frivolous and not necessarily something that had to happen. I think they were kind of fine where they were at. And Drury's first test is, how are you going to get rid of Tony DeAngelo's contract? And like Dylin said, and we'll get into it more in a little bit, can he get Jack Eichel?
Yeah.
Do we want to, we've mentioned it twice, do we want to just go straight to Eichel here?
Yeah, we can just, or if we quickly want to just do the other but the other coaching news. The Flyers confirmed that AV will be returning next year for them.
As a Flyers hater, I love this. I said it when we talked about the Flyers when they started falling apart. When you bring in AV, your team gets really good, really fast right away, and then starts to go to shit.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking about the Rangers. Look at them.
Rangers, where else did AV coach? I mean, shit. It's been his kind of recipe.
Yeah. He makes you better right away, and then it's diminishing returns after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that was it. That was all. I figured you'd love that as a Penguins guy to hear them be like, oh, hey, look at that.
I'm not upset about it.
I mean, I don't understand how you bring him back after he completely, I don't want to say he completely cratered, but they completely, like, just outer world cratered this year.
We've talked about this before, though. I do ultimately... Alright, so I had to shit on him for a minute because he's the Flyers coach. Alain Vigneault is a good coach. And the Flyers did obviously really fell off this season compared to expectations. But I've said before, stop firing head coaches over bad goaltending.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, if they replace Vigneault, like, I've said this a million times, what's the new coach going to do? Hey, Carter Hart, how about you make a fucking save once in a while? Genius coaching move. So,
correct.
I don't think it's wrong for them to hold on to him. It's only been 1 year. They overperformed last year. They underperformed this year. You see where that averages out next year, and then you start thinking.
Yeah. All right, let's get into this Eichel thing.
Can you hear Miranda coughing in the background?
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was just because this mic is really sensitive. All right, so that means it probably picked up on the recording. It's okay. Yeah, Jack Eichel. Why don't you take us into this one?
I don't have. All I've heard is the Wild side of it.
Of course. To the Wild. I have not heard anything about this. What?
Oh, I've heard a lot about it.
No, what is the proposed package for Minnesota? Who
Before we get into, we're going to go over a million ideal scenarios for an Eichel trade. We have before. This is basically a Jack Eichel podcast this season.
Correct.
So to start it out, exit interviews. Jack Eichel clearly not happy with this team.
Made some comment about how he wasn't super happy about the way things were handled once he got hurt. So, take that with what you will.
I don't have the direct quote in front of me. He got hurt. He wants a surgery. It's not a completely necessary surgery. It's a bit experimental. No NHL player has had this surgery. Buffalo doesn't want him to get it. Jack Eichel, ever since he was a kid, has been a fitness guy, very in touch with his own body. He's not happy that his team isn't giving him the autonomy to take care of what he thinks is best for his own body. And, I mean, even if it wasn't for this, there's no way he still wants to fucking be there, first of all.
No.
Yeah.
No.
But
he's still never openly requested a trade, though.
Yeah.
I mean... I think that's just his contract paying him at that point.
Buffalo every few months loves to reiterate, like, hey, by the way, he hasn't requested a trade yet.
Fair.
Sorry, Colt, what were you saying, buddy?
No, I was just like, technically neither is Aaron Rodgers because Schefter made the whole fucking thing up. So
there's our Packers drop.
But yeah, anyway, so this whole thing leaks out, and then Wednesday, Russo, the main beat writer for The Athletic here, goes on the radio, and they kind of ask Russo about, oh, hey, what's going on with the Eichel situation? He goes, I'm not saying who I've heard this from, but the Wild are going to seriously throw their hat into the ring regarding Jack Eichel this offseason. And he said, I don't know what an asking price would be. I wouldn't even know where to begin on an asking price. All I can tell you is that it will not involve Kirill Kaprizov. And then ever since then, every Buffalo fan in existence has been
thinks they're getting Kaprizov,
yeah, they think they're getting Kaprizov. It's like, no you're probably getting Matt Boldy or Marco Rossi.
Yeah.
Like, let's be real. That's the Wild side of it. Is that Russo kind of threw a little flame on the fire.
I mean, I don't think Marco Rossi even and 2 first-round picks compares to anything that pretty much any of the other teams are going to be able to offer. I don't even see Minnesota as a real competitor there.
Well, and the one we keep hearing is the Rangers.
Yeah, exactly.
And with the Rangers, it sucks because you're giving up your first center for 2 wingers. But what the Rangers have is an underperforming Capocacco. And the thing with the Rangers is they have that value of we don't know what he is yet. It makes it, it's high risk for them. But Kakko, Lafreniere, and some picks, you might be giving away 2 wingers who could end up being more valuable than Eichel someday. But what you know right now is that Jack Eichel is an elite center in this league. And I've been saying, Zibanejad is good. He can be your number 1 center. Fine.
Yep.
It's better if he's your number 2 because his production just disappears for weeks at a time sometimes. And despite that, he might have hit 50 goals if it wasn't for the shutdown last season. He is, when he's hot, he's fucking insane. I mean, you look at what he did against the Flyers this year.
Multiple times.
Bullied them all year long.
And of course I'm going to bring that up. But, he's a good player, but just for consistency's sake, I don't want him as my number 1 center.
Right.
And Jack Eichel he'll never go off for a few weeks like Zibanejad does. Maybe he will. We've never seen him not on Buffalo. Maybe he could. But he's consistently going to always be producing at least... What was the stat? Like, the Sabres are like a plus 90 with him on the ice and like a minus 230 without him. which puts
Yeah,
them
it was
at
something.
it was something ridiculous.
Yeah, we talked about that when this all kind of started to come apart this offseason.
Yeah.
Here's my question before we move on from the Eichel situation. Dylin, who plays where next year? Aaron in Green Bay or Eichel in Buffalo?
I don't know anything about the football side there. You're throwing me.
Son of a bitch.
I'm sorry. This is a hockey podcast. I didn't study, but
it was more of just like a, hey, what's more realistic at this point?
Well, I mean, I think Eichel lowered his own trade value in saying that he wants this major surgery that could change his career. I think that maybe now teams are going to be a little more hesitant. I think maybe someone specifically on the West Coast in California specifically might be a little less interested in in taking a forward that is knowingly nursing an injury. And if we're going to be trading away a very large piece of the future, then why would we go for someone who now is willingly throwing away his health and potentially his contract? I mean, obviously it's for the better for him, but we don't know what the long-term repercussions will be. And so I think he lowered his own trade value in that.
And I'm glad you said that, because that brings up a good point. When Jack Eichel makes $10 million a year, he signed for another 5 years. So first of all, he really doesn't have a lot of leverage. We have seen players say, I'm not coming, when they don't have a contract. When do you ever see a player under contract? Like, you can't hold out when you're under contract for 5 more years. He doesn't have a lot of leverage to force his way out of Buffalo, unless he straight up just says, like, I don't care that I'm under contract, I'm not fucking coming.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing with the surgery, yes, that hurts his leverage. But also, if you're Buffalo and you've been holding him back, by now he'd be on the road to recovery with that surgery. And for Buffalo's sake, your return for Eichel is lowered when if he gets traded and his new team allows him to get that surgery, he's not going to be ready for the beginning of next year. You're not going to get as much of a return for a guy who it's known, like, yeah, he's not going to be there for, like, the first at least 20 games. Like, what is Buffalo going to get out of him? So I agree with you. Yes, it makes it harder. It lowers his value, but his value in a trade isn't his fucking problem. That's Buffalo's problem.
Do you think maybe Buffalo holds on to him for one more season and drags him through the absolute mud and the rift divides? Maybe Buffalo has a fire sale?
If he weren't already under contract, next year would be the year that he's eligible for unrestricted free agency. Next year, his no movement clauses kick in, and he becomes harder to trade. He has control over it. Buffalo right now can send him wherever the fuck they want for whatever they can get.
Yeah.
Come July 1st of next year, he can hamstring that. It's a really weird... both of them are like back and forth with this dick measuring contest at this point.
Somebody's going to pay way too much for him.
And that's the other thing with Eichel. The $10 million cap hit. Most of the teams that can afford that shouldn't give up what it's going to cost them.
Correct.
Like...
Big time correct.
Yeah.
Like the Rangers, I don't know. Maybe you can convince them that Tony DeAngelo is a fucking recovery project and make him part of the pack. Obviously, they'd try. You gotta try if you're the Rangers. Like, yeah, he's a piece of shit, but he's a fucking stud out there.
I mean, Buffalo has made it known that they're not willing to trade for anything less than a solidified future piece, something that's really going to replace Eichel. They're not willing to trade for pieces. They're wanting parts.
So I have a bit of a hot take on here.
Oh boy.
Okay. Patrick Kane is from Buffalo.
Nope.
No way.
Nope. No way.
Hear me out. I don't think this will happen. But he already has success. So the idea of him being like, I've already won my 3 Stanley Cups. I'm fine with going home and just being the best player in my hometown for a few years, even if they suck. It frees up the cap space.
I don't think he's willing to do that, though.
I don't think so either.
It's going to ruin his legacy, I think.
But the Blackhawks absolutely should be looking to move out either Kane or Taves or both.
Mm-hmm.
And that's if you move both, $21 million in cap space. If you move one of them, 10.5. The Blackhawks should be looking at this. The Blackhawks have a lot of young, good players. And I think the Blackhawks should be taking a hard look at trying to get Jack Eichel.
What does that do for them, though?
Buffalo gains nothing out of that. What are you going to do with Taves in a rebuilding team?
Okay, I should specify, Taves goes somewhere else in a cap dump.
Okay. That'd have to be a three-way deal. There's no way any specific team would ever take Taves.
Three-way deals are trending right now.
It's possible. I do think that with the way that the trades are going now, that
like I
it's
said,
possible.
I shouldn't have brought it up because it won't happen. But Stan Bowman will swing for the fences for better or worse.
Because he's getting fired after the season, if not.
Most likely, yes. Always has some rookie that's fucking killing it. There's your future piece, plus a couple picks, plus they have some star players, like known right now guys, that they could package into that serve as cap dumps to accommodate fitting Jack Eichel's $10 million cap hit.
But do you trade away like an Alex DeBrincat or...
Absolutely not DeBrincat.
No, I mean...
No way.
Kirby Doc?
No, you trade
Kirby Doc, yeah.
No, and that's another reason why I bring up Jonathan Taves. If you get Jack Eichel, you have Eichel and Doc down the middle. You don't fucking need Taves anymore. That's a separate deal. You get rid of him somewhere else.
I see no way to offload his contract.
You can if you retain salary. And if you're getting rid of Kane and Taves, $21 million off the books, you can still get rid of Kane his full salary. Taves, you're going to have to retain some, but you just freed up $21 million in cap space. You can afford to retain fucking like 30% of it, like $3 million on the books. Jonathan Taves for $7 million, someone bites on that.
Mm-hmm.
You get Jack Eichel. You have Eichel and Doc down the middle on your top two lines. Kane, great player. Him, you could still get someone to take his contract.
Yeah.
But if you're the Blackhawks, by the time you're ready to contend, Kane might still be on the team, but he's not going to be a 90-plus point guy anymore. So why even keep him if you're a rebuilding team? Why even keep Patrick Kane other than for jersey sales? Like I said, it's a long fucking stretch. But if I'm Stan Bowman, I'm looking at what I can do right now to possibly get Jack Eichel.
For sure.
I guess that's fair.
It would break a lot of hearts from their fan base.
Yeah, right.
Yes.
But like we've discussed it, if you get Jack Eichel, what Buffalo probably wants, they want a guy that's good right now. They want a known prospect, one of your top prospects, and they want picks.
Yeah.
Even if you're not talking Kane, like DeBrincat should be out of the question. Like a pious suitor, some firsts, and maybe Duncan Keith. Someone that's a known player that they can afford when they get rid of $10 million for Jack Eichel.
Didn't Duncan Keith retire? No, that was Seabrook this offseason.
Seabrook's done, yeah. Like I said, it's a long run, but the Blackhawks should be looking at it.
I think everyone in the league is looking at it. I mean, you have Boston looking at it, and they'd have to go through such crazy cap gymnastics that I have no idea how they'd even make it work.
Good transition Tampa, there, though. Boston has Halak coming off the books, who is not their backup goalie anymore. Swayman is their backup for the playoffs in place of Halak. You have him coming off the books. There's no way David Krejci's going to keep making the same money.
No, they've talked about restructuring or doing something with Krejci's contract for 2 years now.
I could see Boston making a move on Eichel unless they make a deep run that Taylor Hall's a big part of.
Doesn't Boston also have to pay David Pastrnak this offseason?
I'm pretty sure they locked him down for a minute. At a pretty good deal.
Tuukka Rask is also an unrestricted free agent, and his health is currently in question. He's basically said he's going to finish this playoff run and then go from there on what he's willing to do for contract for next season. So I really think he's up in the air himself. So maybe they retain Halak and use Swayman as the backup, but
they shouldn't.
I mean, do you trust Swayman to take over a first string role right away?
That's exactly why I'm saying they shouldn't. And do you trust Halak to be the guy?
I mean, he would make a solid backup for Swayman if you're going to throw him in there. Maybe Halak can get hot somewhere down the stretch and pick up a few games rather than relying on a rather young goalie to take you on a team that's in win now phase, to be honest.
That's kind of counting on two shots in the dark to come through between Halak and Swayman.
Yeah, I think either way, without Tuukka Rask, they're going to have a big question mark. And so, do you retain Halak and kind of shore up a little bit of that? Or do you maybe go to the offseason and pick up any, like, Jonathan Quick from the LA Kings?
You want to get rid of him so
Absolutely.
bad.
I love him. He was the biggest part of our cup runs, but, youth movement, that's the word now.
Cal Peterson is proving to be a worthy starter.
Exactly, and it's inevitable that with the way that the Kings have parted with just about every other member of their team that isn't Kopitar or Doughty, that Quick is next. He knows that. The writing's on the wall, I think.
So that reminds me of two things. First of all, the second one is actually a story that just kind of popped up last night, and we should add to it the Drew Doughty situation.
Ooh.
Him saying that if the Kings don't make the playoffs next year, he's not going to be happy. We'll get into that in a minute.
I did see that.
But the Kings are one of the teams very much in the running for Jack Eichel. How would you feel about that, and what would be your pitch to try to bring Eichel to LA? Would you rather just pass and hope Byfield turns out, or?
Okay, now knowing that Drew Doughty is unhappy with the success and that he maybe is more on the side of winning now one more time before he goes out, I think, yes, the time is now to get Eichel. I think that Byfield, obviously he's young, but I mean, we didn't really give him a real chance. He only played less than half of the season, but I mean, we have such depth at center. Alex Turcotte, Kopitar will be number one for a few years, and he's obviously in win now mode. I think that Byfield is expendable for someone that is a proven step up currently in Jack Eichel. I mean, we know that Jack Eichel is good for, at 60 points on the absolute low end, but Byfield is rather unproven, young, didn't really get the chance, didn't really prove himself in the AHL either. So I think that Byfield would be given a much more extended chance on a team like Buffalo to give himself to prove himself without all that depth at center. So I think it works out for Buffalo in having a defined number one center for the future again that potentially is will last a little longer, won't be as unhappy with the goings, and I mean it puts the Kings in legitimate contention for the playoffs next season. Jack Eichel himself can carry the team, not to mention what Dustin Brown, Andrei Kopitar, Drew Doughty, and all of our rookies have been doing this season. I really think that Jack Eichel will be that piece that will put us well into contention with all of the teams in a relatively weak West Division. So
yeah.
How did it go under my radar all year that you guys have had Athanasiou?
Yeah, that was an extremely underrated acquisition from
I just haven't
Detroit.
heard about the guy all year, and I really like that guy.
We talked about it.
I'm sure we did. Yeah, it's just been kind of under my radar.
Yeah.
I can't think of who it is. You guys have one prospect that I keep hearing in every... Turcotte. It's Turcotte.
Yeah, Turcotte.
That's the one I keep hearing, that if the Kings get Jack Eichel, Turcotte is going.
No.
Yeah, I'm not somebody who gives up top 5 picks a year after the pick. Like, that's just not something I would do.
Exactly.
So would you do it with Lafreniere?
No, again, no, because even realistically, if you're the Rangers, he played a lot this season, but he didn't show you anything. So, it's one of those things. That's a personal thing. It like, for me, I'm not giving up a top 5 pick a year after I made it. But however, if it's for Jack Eichel or
that's the thing. It's for Jack Eichel. It's a number 2 pick who would have been number 1 any other year if he wasn't in fucking Connor McDavid's draft class.
Right.
But there's also that inherent gamble in Jack Eichel himself with the injury and his attitude that maybe putting someone like Turcotte in there with lesser value than, say, Byfield, you're going to require more picks, more prospects in order to equal out the deal, and you're giving up more of your future for someone that may not pan out. And I would say give the least greatest value you can give, and that would be Byfield and maybe a year later first round pick, and then what other bullshit.
Byfield could turn out to be just as good, though.
He could, and that's the gamble that Buffalo should take in giving away Eichel in basically his prime.
Just another, you could throw out the Devils, I don't know, Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes. Jack Hughes could be better than Eichel. We don't know. That's and especially Eichel. The thing with Eichel, though, he's already a top 10 center in the league on a terrible fucking team.
On a really bad team.
Who's to say if you don't put him on a good team, he's suddenly right up there with McKinnon and Crosby and McDavid. He really fucking grinds it out on a terrible team. The thing about his attitude, I think a lot of people, if they were a number 2 overall pick, and they got stuck with a team that they've been on for, this is his 4th season, 5th, they're still fucking terrible.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the difference, I think, with McDavid.
Well,
because they've now made playoffs, twice?
Yeah. Well, and one of them was last year where it was just weird. And the thing about his attitude, too, I struggle with holding a player's attitude against them. Because we talk all the time on here about players should be more open and stop giving boring, we got to get pucks deep for 60 minutes, go out there and play for each other. I'm sick of hearing that same interview every game. Nothing that Jack Eichel has said in any other sport is specifically insidious or an indication. We're just not used to hearing a hockey player say, this team sucks. I'm not happy here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
I have a hard time, holding it against him and saying he has an attitude problem.
I'm not one to say that I think he has an attitude problem at all. I've found some of his comments pre-post during the season all have been, for at least the hockey landscape, really refreshing. So,
yeah.
I don't know, man.
I've told you, I am just waiting for the day. I just want to hear Connor McDavid one time when he gets the awkward, put in a weird position, do you think you're the best player in the league? I just once want to hear someone McDavid say, yeah, I fucking am. And
he never will.
No one ever will. And that's why, even though with the new TV deal, there will be more exposure, but it probably won't grow. It'll grow a little bit, but it won't grow exponentially because the players are so fucking boring.
Do you want to see TikTok personalities
Absolutely, yes, I
or
do.
Whatever, Juju Schuster? I can't even pronounce his name.
Juju Smith-Schuster. That's my
that
favorite
guy.
Player. I have his fucking jersey in that closet there.
I do think that would help, but
Bill is the confirmed Juju beat.
I can't even. I don't even know his name.
Colt just remembered the other day when I called him talking about Juju. He's like, I forgot you are a fucking Juju guy.
Yeah. Here's oh shit! It's 2-1 Florida.
Oh shit! We gotta pull up the stream of that.
I got it on my phone.
Here's my thing with that is they're hockey players. It's all gonna always be about the brand. So yeah. Should we go on to the next story? I think we spent plenty of time on Jack Eichel.
Yeah, we've spent probably entirely too much time on Jack Eichel. What else do we got here?
Blackouts is what we got.
Of course not. We'll do, once we get to where we're going to do the report cards for non-playoff teams and then our playoff previews, we'll take a break so I can get the game pulled up here.
Do you just want to do that now?
You want to just take a break now?
Sure.
Yeah, let's just take a break now and let you idiots do what you need to do.
We'll be right back, folks. And we're back once again. Check out our sponsors, Slapstick Clothing. Jake from Slapstick Clothing just lost to my deck hockey team the other day. Suck it, Jake. You can find them online at slapstickclothing.com. Find them on Facebook. I don't know the link. Just search Slapstick Clothing, and it will be the only Slapstick Clothing. And on Instagram at slapstick.clothing.
Sweet.
Let's get into, so we're doing report cards.
Yeah, so we're going to really quickly, we're going to go over the non-playoff teams, and, we're just going to give each of them a grade. So we will start with, do you guys want to go West or Central to start with?
Let's start with the West. I'll go ahead and knock out that West one here. We'll go with Arizona here. Arizona, they had such hope going into the end of the season. They were one of those teams that very well could have made a push somewhere in there. I'd say that, I mean, they don't really have the future pieces to be looking forward. Like, I don't think that they're going anywhere in this division. Yeah, they're doing good now, but 3-4 years down the line, I don't think they're going to be anything good right now. So I'd say, yeah, it's a good run, but it wasn't good enough. We'll give them a C there, because I mean, yes, they had a good run. They were in contention, but just the end is nigh for their window.
And for context, what we're grading on is not necessarily how good they are, it's how good they were compared to what people expected. Arizona, I think that they were kind of, people could see them being good or they could see them sucking. I would give them also a C, but in a more positive way, because they were expected to be a bubble team, like right around 5th place, and that's exactly what they fucking were. They had a chance for a minute because St. Louis went into a complete nosedive for a minute there, and it kept them in it. If you look, there's a big drop off in points between 3rd place and 4th place in this division. The thing about Arizona, I want them to be good. I like the Coyotes. They have some players I really like. Clayton Keller is a killer.
Single-handedly won my fantasy league a few seasons ago, but that's a different story.
Yeah, he's such a good player, and he's just wasting his career with this team. Everyone loves Oliver Ekman-Larsson. Nicest fucking guy in the NHL. The Coyotes, though, just year by year, they're hanging by a thread. And even that thread, they're just hanging on to being a bubble team. They're never really a threat to actually be good.
Yeah.
And you hate to see it, so I'm going to go with a C. Just mediocrity all around in Arizona.
Yeah.
Yep.
Same thing, C, mediocrity. I am a little disappointed in them. Like you said, they had a chance to establish themselves in this division this year, and they kind of just didn't do it. Especially with the way St. Louis nosedived. There was opportunities for this Coyotes team who we talked about. We said this last week. They had chances. So yeah, C again with them. We'll move on to the Kings. Dylin, I think we kind of gave our report on the Kings last week, but
wait, real quick before we get into this, anyone listening just heard my phone go off. My deck hockey team, one of my teammates is from Philly. Dan Francisco, real good fucking player, great guy. He just messaged the group chat and said, "Are the Pens going to be alive next weekend?" And so, you know what? Fuck you, Dan. Anyways, go on, the Kings.
30-second Kings. What's your rapid grade on the Kings season?
30-second Kings.
That's my nickname in high school.
30-second Kings. There we go. I'm gonna say B-. We saw really good glimpses. I really think that they weren't expected to be a good team in any way, shape, or form, and they definitely outperformed that in every way. We could have seen more, but overall, very good showing from a very expected to be bad team. B-.
I'm so glad we fucking came across you, because my exact score was a B-. People thought the Kings were gonna suck. Every hockey podcast in the world at one point started taking notice with the Kings that they were actually playing good hockey. We talked about it last week. They weren't winning games, but they were sticking in there every game. I was actually proud because I felt like we, especially because of Colt being high on the Kings, we were actually a little bit ahead of the fucking media picking up on the Kings. They were fucking good, man. This team has a future. They're going to be contenders again real fucking quick. And with the expectation, they still finished well below 500, so I can't give them a B or higher. But compared to everyone went into this thing in the Kings, it's just going to be another year where they fucking suck. Dustin Brown, his renaissance, looking like a first-line play, not just for the Kings first line, but looking like a legit on any team first-line player again. Because of their overall record, I can't give them a B or higher, but B- because they blew my expectations for them out of the fucking water.
Yeah, I mean, you literally just took every word out of my mouth. It's a B-. There's a future there. I said this multiple times. Those were the best games the Wild played against, the traditional bottom feeder the team they were supposed to beat up on, and the Kings gave them 60 minutes of hockey every single night. It was super fun. Yeah. So yeah, B-.
The Kings, you can bet against them on the money line, but you can't bet against them on the puck line.
Correct.
They hang in there, and they only lose by a goal most of the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Moving on to the San Jose Sharks.
I will struggle to find good things to say about San Jose, to be honest.
Bad goaltending, bad financial people,
Erik
not
Karlsson.
having a stadium. Yeah.
This is a team that is just doing their best to outplay their horrific goaltending.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And they act like it's a surprise. Like,
yeah.
The Sharks are the equivalent of your shithead buddy who drives around with the check engine light on all the time and then gets surprised when his car breaks down. And that's their goaltending.
Yeah.
The Sharks.
Yeah, I mean,
suck.
there's not much to say about San Jose. I mean, I'm gonna give them a fucking D, because you knew you were having goaltending issues coming into this season, and your cop out of. I don't like that they kind of threw Devin Dubnyk under the bus either.
You're a Wild fan, of course, yeah.
And traded him, but you know what I mean. It's like. It's your cop out. You're really gonna keep holding on to this Martin Jones facade this long?
Martin Jones was at one point a really good goalie.
So was Matt Murray.
Fair. We'll get to grading Ottawa in a second.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with the Sharks. If I was just grading their season, it's an F. The only reason I'm gonna bump it up to a D- is because I expected them to suck.
Yeah.
So, compared to my expectations were low. The bar was on the floor, and they still couldn't step over it.
Yeah.
Fuck the Sharks. I like the Sharks.
I do too.
But they're fucking terrible.
Yeah. Dylin, what's your grade for the Sharks?
God, the Kings fan in me, and
just give them an F.
It's an F. It's an F. Okay, it's an F. I mean, they have no future. They were told that they were entering a rebuild, what have they done to retool for this rebuild? They have
Tomas Hertl. That's all they've done.
They have their single best player, the most expensive defenseman in the league, in Erik Karlsson. And
is literally laughing in press conferences.
Yeah, he is so disconnected with the franchise, but there's zero trade value in Erik Karlsson, knowing that he came from Ottawa and absolutely sank to the bottom of the barrel in San Jose, which was a team that was good.
Well, anyone who's been listening to this podcast knows before Karlsson got paid, I knew he was going to get paid. I also said whoever pays him is going to regret it because the man has half of a right foot.
Right.
He had bones removed from his feet to get back on the ice faster.
Mm-hmm.
It was gonna be bad, and sure enough, it's fucking bad.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We got to move on from San Jose.
Yeah.
We've absolutely.
Hey, the podcast is called
so
Homertown Hockey. It's okay to show your preference once in a while and just go ahead and get one of those other California teams an F.
Yeah, sorry, San Jose sitting down there at the F. Moving on to the other,
the
California team.
Anaheim. We're not gonna waste our breath. F.
Trevor Zegras. That's it. They have a future there.
F plus.
F plus. I agree.
Just for the sake of saying something and not just leaving it at Fs. The Ducks' biggest mistake, they knew coming in that this season was a wash. They do have some decent prospects. They should have said fuck it and let the kids play all year.
And they didn't. Mm-hmm. They kept bringing Zegras up and down. You would have liked them. I mean, what are they going to do this offseason now with Gibson, especially now that you don't have a backup goaltender?
Come home, baby. You were born a Yinzer. Come back.
Between that, they should have let the kids play. They didn't. You held on to too many potentially important. Not even potentially. There were decent.
My dog is just sitting in his lap, cuddling right now.
He's been here for like 10 minutes.
He really has.
It's a she.
Oh, she. Sorry.
There was a bunch of pieces Anaheim could have traded at the deadline and gotten decent return for, and they just didn't. And also we've talked about multiple teams who said, "Oh, hey, we're doing a rebuild." This was a team that said we were doing a rebuild, and then 3 weeks later, when asked how the rebuild was going,
the
GM said, the GM said, "I never said we were rebuilding."
Yeah.
Well, no,
I love. Well, that's the specifics of it because the whole NHL is based around GMs trying to make themselves look good.
Yeah.
And they weren't rebuilding; they were retooling.
Right.
Yeah.
Clearly, there's a big difference there. Shut the fuck
Anaheim,
up.
See San Jose.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Anaheim gets an F. Anybody want to give them even anything better than an F?
I do see a future. They have pieces that they can move to build. I mean,
correct.
Looking forward, yeah, this season, absolutely F, no question.
I hate to give an F to a Yinzer goalie who on a different team would be a Vezina candidate. I love John Gibson, but this team, it's an F from me, dog.
All right.
Quickly moving into the Central, we got Dallas. I'm going to actually be really nice to Dallas. This team
they went through a lot.
Yep.
They went through a ton this season.
They survived a whole inch of snow.
Yeah.
Us being a Midwest podcast where it's
snow.
I understand that Texas wasn't ready for it, and there were some genuinely tragic things that happened.
Power outages
but
were terrible.
At the same time, man, I have a hard time really fucking sympathizing over a whole fucking state being destroyed over an inch of snow.
Yeah. But they had
Dallas
COVID outbreaks, injuries, just straight up weird shit. They had
Tyler Seguin was out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tyler Seguin was out. Didn't they fire the coach at one point this season? Or no, they were coming into the season with a new coach.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah. There's a whole bunch of things. They never looked invested into the season. They'll be back.
Oh and yeah, Bishop Dallas is gonna be a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Dallas.
And Bishop was hurt.
Dallas right now, they have a bunch of like middle six wingers. Like, Gurionov was playing on the top line because Seguin's hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Normally, though, he'd be a middle six guy, but, like, he's the type of guy that he's going to keep getting better. He's going to be a problem. Kiviranta, obviously, we talked about Jason Robertson. Dallas is going to be a problem. Dallas's problem, though, their problem
is going to be age.
Deep goaltending.
Mm-hmm.
You don't trust Ben Bishop anymore?
I trust Ben Bishop when he can play.
Yeah.
Correct.
But look at the Lightning. The reason Vasilevsky broke out, Ben Bishop got hurt in Game 1 of the 2016 Eastern Conference Finals against the Penguins. Yeah, when that happened, as a Penguins fan, I never cheer on an injury, but I was like, oh fuck yeah, like their goalie's hurt. Vasilevsky stepped up and blossomed into the Andre Vasilevsky we know now. In that series, we had to take them to 7 games. That's Ben Bishop's thing, man. When he's healthy, he should have a Vezina.
Right.
But he's never healthy.
No.
And that's been Dallas's problem forever. They got Antti Niemi from the Sharks when Niemi still looked like a fucking candidate.
Yeah. Anton Goudobin.
Kerry Lehkonen. He was supposed to be the next big thing. This team has had the worst luck with goalies. Finally, they do have a really good goalie, but he's never healthy.
Right.
Their backup goalie is arguably the best player on their team. Anton Khudobin.
The best or the most valuable?
Not the best. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
I got hyperbolic.
Sorry to call you out, but yeah.
All right, what do we want to give this season though before we get deep down the rabbit hole?
Dude,
it's hard to grade
it. Should have been a playoff team.
Listen, we're going off of expectations.
If we're gonna go off expectations, it's a C.
C.
Off of expectations, this team was in the finals last year. I like the Stars a lot. I love the fucking Stars.
You did.
Off of expectations. This is a team that was in the Stanley Cup Finals last year. We're going off of expectations. This is a D-.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fair.
And admittedly, a lot of it isn't their fault. The COVID problems.
Yeah.
The natural disaster.
Injuries.
We'll put it into context. For Texas, it was fucked up. We deal with that like every other Saturday. Yeah. Texas isn't built for that, but they missed the playoffs. All they had to be was the 4th best team in an 8-team division, and this isn't a strong conference.
Florida wasn't expected to be anything, and Nashville was known to be a bubble from the beginning.
Yeah.
Florida, we'll get to that. Nashville was the team that I fucking wrote up. The Stars should be in the playoffs with even a halfway decent season. I gotta give them a D-. It is pathetic that they missed the playoffs.
Yep.
It's fair.
And I love this team. They're one of my favorite teams. Miro Heiskanen is one of my favorite non-Penguin players in the NHL. They sucked, dude. They sucked.
Yeah. Moving on to Chicago. I'm going to be really nice to Chicago. For a team that looked like they were going to be really bad, they were surprising.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chicago, at the end of the year, it balanced out to about what we expected.
Yep.
But they had that minute where they were really good.
They were in a playoff spot for a couple weeks at one point.
For a couple weeks. Which, with this year's setup, a couple weeks is like a quarter of the season. So.
Right.
Yeah, no, Chicago, C+, B-. Yeah.
B-.
Yep. B-.
Agreed.
They finished where I expected, which would just, I'm using C as like the neutral.
Right.
But it says something about once they fell off, they really fell off. So they despite those few weeks, they ended up where I expected them. Which means once they came off that high, they really sucked. But they did it without Kirby Dach, without Jonathan Toews. Based on my hot take, with a potentially incoming Jack Eichel.
Without any starting goalie, Kevin Lankinen.
No goaltending.
What about Kevin Lankinen? I mean, he was legitimate Calder Trophy, Vezina Trophy. I mean, his numbers were for a point there. Weeks. He was best in the league. He was beating all of any goaltender at the point. If I'm correct.
And I'm gonna say this. I am still a fan of Colin Delia. I haven't given up on him.
I'd say
I don't like this team, but I like him.
He can be a good backup to any team, I'd say.
I don't think he needs to be a backup. I think if you have two good goalies where you can go by tandem, I think Colin Delia is a really good 1B or backup. Yeah. But I don't think he needs to be a backup. I think he could be a 1B, like a Grice in with the Islanders situation.
Brian Elliott or something
yeah,
like
yeah.
That. Yeah. Understood.
You can make a run with him. You won't win anything with him, but you have the potential to make a run with him.
Right.
Let's move on to the Detroit Red Wings.
Ooh, this one's
kind
of tough.
They sucked.
Again,
obviously. Let's get that out of the way.
They were a little bit better than we all thought they were.
I thought they were going to win like 12 games.
I thought we were seeing what Buffalo ended up being.
What was their final record?
19, 27, and 10. They
won over a quarter of their games. I'm going to give them a C+ just because I straight up thought they would maybe win 20% of their games.
What really killed them is they were 7, 16, and 5 on the road. They were 12, 11, and 5 in Detroit.
That's not bad.
No, I mean their last 10.
If you keep that pace up through, like, if that's all of your games, is that home record? Mm-hmm. John Tortorella will take that all day and take the second wild card spot.
Right, and they ended the season on a 3-3-4 run. I mean, they have the youth is coming for them at some point, but for right now, I mean, C+. I mean, they were bad, but
let's not forget they absolutely waxed the Capitals on that Mantha trade.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, they did.
They have even more youth coming because of it.
Right.
That's not like we're going by on the ice, but it's hard to ignore that. Overall, I think this season was a really big net positive for the Red Wings.
I agree. From a front office standard, you almost have to give them like a B. Like, I mean, the Yzerman looks like an absolute genius right now with the Mantha trade.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, the Capitals, sure, they got a good piece out of it, but it's not going to fit in the future the same way Jacob Vrana and the first round picks are going to.
He fits in so well. That's exactly what we said about it.
Exactly.
When it happened.
It's just way too good of a C+. I gotta go. A B is too nice because they just simply
that's why I'm saying
do good.
C+.
Yeah.
C+.
C+, but creeping towards a B-.
Correct.
Yeah, I agree.
We'll knock this one out quick. Columbus, fucking F.
If we can just say the lowest person in the division is an F all the time, I mean...
Hold on. If we're gonna give the Red Wings credit for waxing on the Mantha trade, getting Jack Roslovic and Patrick Laine for Pierre-Luc Dubois, a guy who... I'm a fan of a Metro Division team. I've been aware of Dubois for a minute. But the rest of the NHL really didn't know who he was until that Lightning series.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
He's a good player, don't get me wrong. I'd love to have him as a number 2 center. But he was treated like an elite, like top 5 center for some reason. And they got a guy that has... He's been called the next Ovechkin. And I don't think he is, but you gotta be fucking good to even get that comparison. Jack Roslovic, a number 3 center that on the one thing Winnipeg has is their center core is nasty.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Any other team, Jack Roslovic is easily a number 2 center. The value they got out of that trade, flipping Dubois, and then they're getting rid of Tortorella.
Okay, again, if we're looking future included in expectations.
I'm giving them a C+. Coming into this season, I said, fuck the Blue Jackets, they suck.
I mean, losing
I thought
Artemi
they would have made the
Panarin.
playoffs.
I thought they'd be on the bubble. I didn't think they'd make the playoffs. All right, yeah, you're right. Going off of expectations, I can give them no higher than a C.
Yep.
But
okay.
they made some moves that I really think are positive for them moving forward.
That's fair. That's a good take.
For me, it's still this. It was just such a train wreck this season.
I mean, they finished below Detroit.
Yeah.
Below Detroit. They.
Yeah, so you get an F.
Yeah, tied 48 points.
You know what? You're right.
Worst goal differential.
I can't give Detroit I can't give Detroit credit for winning 19 games when I thought they'd only win 13, and then turn around and give Columbus a C for finishing below them. You're right. It's an F. They made some moves that are positive for the future, but for right now, absolutely an F. You're right.
They only scored 10 more goals than Detroit scored, but they also gave up 16 more in the season. And the only team to give up more than them this year was the Buffalo Sabres.
Hey, but they did set an NHL record for the biggest return anyone would ever get for Nick Foligno.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the East, and we've talked a lot about the East tonight, so I think we're just going to really rip through these. Rangers, just give me rapid grade.
Rangers were nasty. If this was an 82-game season, they might have squeezed in.
Yeah, C+.
B.
B minus. Yeah, B minus.
You look at their goal differential. They actually had the second highest goal differential in that division. Dude, if it's not for that first month where they sucked, they were the only team the Penguins could beat in regulation for the first month. Mm-hmm. If you take that first month out, they killed it. Yeah. B.
Dylin, what's your grade?
Oh, I'm gonna be harsh here. I'm gonna give them a D. I mean, they have the core in Zibanejad. I mean, okay, I grade Zibanejad a little higher than you guys do. I mean,
obviously,
clearly, I mean, you don't. Even Matthews isn't putting up 4 goals in a game. He also isn't playing the Flyers, to be honest.
That's one game though.
Yeah, I mean,
and it's specifically Matthews did put up 4 goals in his first game ever.
Yeah, that's true. That is very true.
Bad example.
Fair point. But I mean, Zibanejad competed for the Art Ross last year, and I mean, I do think with Capo Caco, obviously he greatly underperformed. Alex Lafreniere coming in and was expected to be this gigantic piece, stepping right in and taking over the roster. I think that their expectations were way too high to begin with. So, again, based off of expectations, which is unfair, D.
So we've talked about this, though, the idea of, these, a first and a second pick underperforming. We have talked about this a million times. Generally, before, the last few drafts, we've been spoiled with these kids coming in now are fucking elite. Mm-hmm. We've been spoiled. When I was a kid, your first overall pick still might not play for another 3 years in the NHL.
Exactly.
Right? And these guys are just, there. Nico Hischier is probably the most disappointing number 1 overall pick of the last however many years. And if you go back further, the most disappointing number 1 overall pick in recent years, it might be Aaron Ekblad. And Aaron Ekblad's fucking nasty. He's just not fucking Connor McDavid. This is, to me, that's what I expect from a number 1 or 2 pick. He's fine. So I have a hard time writing those guys off yet, is what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. So I understand what you're saying, but I'm not ready to write those guys off. And I don't think it's a deficiency to the Rangers that they couldn't do it. They, in a very tough division, without that first really bad month, and they had problems with their fucking racist defensemen fighting their goalies.
Right.
Through all of that, I gotta give... I'm going the opposite way. I'm going a letter up. I'm giving them a B. I don't think they should have been expected to be a playoff team. They overperformed for a rebuild last year.
They're a bubble team, man. That was the thing. Yeah. This team had high upside and really low downside. So,
and even with that high upside,
downside.
That's fair.
They 75% of the season, they were overperforming just like they were last year. It's just that other 25% where they were bad. Yeah, they were really fucking bad at the beginning of the year. So I gotta give him a B. Colt?
Yeah, C plus, B minus.
All right.
That range. Flyers. I mean, there's no other grade for the Flyers.
Yeah.
Absolutely an F, right?
F. Expectations-wise, F.
Yeah.
Easy.
Yeah. We're not even gonna spend any time on that.
Well,
Sounds
the
good.
thing with the Flyers, just because I gotta shit on them for a minute, they did overperform last year, but they overperformed in a way that there was reason to believe it would keep up.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They've been the team that's going to be good any day now for a very long time, and it looked like it was clicking. I mean, we all picked Carter Hart for the Vezina.
I mean, they kept almost their entire core. I don't think they lost a single person from their top 6, either, their defenseman or their forward. They didn't lose anyone that was really important. And they have prospects, Morgan Frost coming up, that they have even depth.
Well, and even that, if we're bringing the front office moves, they were kind of sellers at the deadline.
Yeah.
Which is weird, getting rid of Raffle.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's a really good third-line player. If you think you're about to be really good, you hold on to that guy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's not like he's going to get a huge raise, like they couldn't keep him if they wanted. It just made no sense to me what the Flyers did this year. And again, I love it. But fuck this team. It's an F.
F.
Yeah.
They were supposed to win the best division in hockey, and they finished in 6th place.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's an F. Absolutely.
New Jersey.
Same thing. Rapid fire this. New Jersey.
C.
They
were what they thought we were.
That meets expectations. C.
Yep. And then the.
But
Buffalo
a big step
Sabres.
up from Jack Hughes this year.
Right. Yeah.
Buffalo Sabres. What did we expect from them? Like, what were the expectations?
I expected them to not be last.
Like, did we expect Eichel to put up 100 points, and that's what didn't happen, and that's what we're unhappy about? Like, I don't know what we really expected.
Colt's better at keeping track of our old takes, but I'm pretty sure that's like exactly what I said. Actually, I think I picked them being like one of those things where it's like a month from the end of the regular season. They're not going to make the playoffs, but they're not eliminated yet. That was I thought the Sabres would be like a 6-7 team, and they were by miles the 8.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, with Taylor Hall, how can you add Taylor Hall and get significantly worse?
Right.
Yeah.
F.
Yeah. No,
the bar was on. I said it earlier. The bar was on the floor, and they still couldn't step over it.
Yep. F.
Yeah. No.
Sorry, Cole, go ahead.
No, you're good. Phil's exactly right. We said they'd be a 6-7 seed that like hung around for a minute,
starting to show some promise for next year, maybe.
Yeah, and then they never did. And like you said, how can you just from the get-go be that horrifically bad?
It's it's the picture of the protester holding the sign that says our expectations were low, but holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. Nothing more to really say about that.
They were bad. Even if I had picked them to finish last, I'd still have to give them an F because they finished last with authority.
Yeah. Exactly. And let's quickly finish up with the Scotia North. We'll start with Calgary. I'm gonna have to go D on Calgary.
Yeah, I thought this was a playoff team.
Agreed.
I thought this was a playoff team too.
Yeah.
They were always fighting for the 4th place though, which is kind of an unfair battle for them. And I mean, Montreal isn't the pick that I would have had. However, it would have been Vancouver.
I didn't have them fighting for 4th. I didn't expect Winnipeg to be good.
I would have
I had them in like 3rd.
I didn't.
Sorry, go ahead.
I didn't have Winnipeg or Montreal in these spots. I had Vancouver and Calgary.
Yeah, I think I had Vancouver winning the division. I jumped on a little bit on their youth movement.
I would have too. I'm a huge Edmonton shill, but
they're a lot of fun.
Yeah, I love Edmonton. Edmonton is definitely going to be one of the teams that brings people into it, I think. But Edmonton is another story.
We'll get to that when we get to this series.
Right.
Yeah.
Calgary, Tampa tied it up here, 2-2.
Yep. Calgary, I think we're all in agreement. It's kind of a D.
Yep.
Not horrible, but disappointing.
Could have been way better.
And the biggest problem with Calgary is I think this season is a symptom to a bigger problem. They never had that big of a window in the first place, but boy, they closed really fucking fast.
Yep.
Yeah. Ottawa. And I'm going to be really complimentary to Ottawa here. I'm going to give them an A. Okay?
So I was right in saying that they would be better than you expected, but I was wrong in saying that they would compete for that last playoff spot.
Because I had them as maybe getting 9 wins this season. I said they were going to be historically bad because they had nobody on their team. And you know what? They went out and proved me fucking wrong and won 23 games and didn't finish in last place in this division.
They hung in their games.
Yeah, they were a fun team.
Everything we said about the Kings, you can say about Ottawa too.
Yep.
They hung in there every night. They were never
a pain in the ass.
They were never an easy win for anyone.
Yep.
No.
I lost a lot of money betting against them.
Tim Stützle is going to be a legitimate superstar someday.
Jesus
Christ.
Yep. Absolutely. We're seeing that generation come up. The next generation behind Connor McDavid is going to be led by Tim Stützle, and he's making a name for the European-born players.
Oh yeah,
the best. He's going to be. I mean, Leon Draisaitl might have a say in this, but he's going to be arguably the best German-born player to play in the NHL. And
what about Tom Kuhnhackl?
Who?
2-time Stanley Cup winner with the Pittsburgh Penguins, Tom Kuhnhackl.
Yeah, Leon Draisaitl.
Yeah, I know. I just love me some Cooney. But yeah, dude. Well, and that's the thing. Like, some players need to adapt to the league when they come in.
He didn't.
Tim Stützle is the type of guy that the league needs to adapt to him.
Yes.
Yeah. Same thing.
Out of the top 5 picks this year, Stützle so far, right now, Ottawa won the draft.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep.
And also, did you see the video of he had a hat trick? Obviously, no one was in attendance in Canada, and a bunch of kids brought bags full of hats and started throwing them over his fence. Fucking love. And he came outside to watch it. So also, just a sweetheart. You love to see it. Like, seems like the nicest guy in the world. He's the type of guy you want to root for.
Right.
He's going to bring huge change to European hockey, I think. He's going to become the face of European hockey. Yeah. I don't think right now, since maybe Yager retired.
Well, and being such a nice guy, he kind of cancels out the PR problem that is Brady Tkachuk.
Right.
They have the young player that everyone loves, and they have the young player that everyone fucking hates.
Right.
And I feel like it cancels out where it comes out to everyone's pretty neutral on Ottawa. Which is how everyone's always been with Ottawa.
Yeah.
But the Senators are going to be a I picked them to be on the bubble competing for the 4th spot.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, I was wrong there. But, I mean, any given game, they were a couple goals away from some of those 1-goal losses being 1-goal wins, and they would have been.
Right.
They were.
And I remember.
They were a real team that you have to show up against.
Mm-hmm.
I remember multiple Canadian coaches talking about how big of a pain in the ass that Senators team was. So
I'm gonna give them a B.
Yeah, I have to give them that pretty high of a grade too.
I'll agree.
I think they might be the team. Them and the Kings are the 2 teams that exceeded their expectations the most.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And quickly again, wrap up with the Vancouver Canucks, who again they had a ton of issues.
Fuck me.
The Flyers of the West.
The Flyers of the West, exactly. You get an F.
F.
Fuck
yeah.
you.
Not even making the playoffs after going to the conference finals. I get that it's a youth movement, but it shouldn't have fallen off this hard.
Their youth should have gotten better. They didn't really lose any major pieces.
This is before either of your guys' time, but there was an old saying on this podcast, Bo Horvat good, Vancouver bad.
That held up for about 3 weeks this year.
Bo Horvat started out on absolute fire this season.
Yeah.
And even then, they were still not winning.
Right.
The man was getting like 2 goals a game, and they still couldn't fucking win. I think they will be back. We haven't heard the last of Vancouver. This is a youth movement. They're going to keep coming.
Mm-hmm.
It'll take I jumped the gun on them, expecting them to be back, like ready to go right away.
I would have agreed with you at the beginning of the season. I didn't think that they were a bubble team. I thought they were a contending team.
At the same time, though, that Vegas series, without Thatcher Demko, they get swept.
Yeah.
So, we all jumped the gun on Vancouver.
I think we all drank the Kool-Aid.
Also, Quinn Hughes didn't have a great season.
Nope.
Like, and it wasn't just the team around him not helping him get numbers. I watched a lot of Vancouver this year because I really liked them. He looked pretty bad for a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I had this team winning the division, so not making the playoffs, finishing last in the division. Obviously, it's an F for me.
Yep.
Yeah. Should we rapid fire our way through the first round playoff prediction too?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we need to rapid fire. I know the episode's running long, but I feel like we can't rapid fire through the playoffs.
Yeah.
This is just going to have to be a long episode.
Yeah.
Could we take like a quick 2-minute break or something?
Absolutely.
Yeah, just a quickie. Mostly because I have to piss again.
We'll be back. And we're back, and man, big money for Slapstick Clothing today, because we've had to take 2 breaks. Again, check them out, slapstickclothing.com. Just search for it on Facebook. I don't know the link. You'll find it. They have some cool shirts. You can pay to have shirts designed. That's pretty tight. One of these days, we're going to get the Homertown Hockey Summer Tournament deck hockey team going. Team Bad Company by Bad Company off the album Bad Company. Our jerseys will just be Hawaiian shirts with numbers and names on them. Dylin, you're going to have to play.
That sounds good. I'm building the team.
And find them on Instagram at slapstick.clothing.
Sweet.
Let's get into these playoff previews.
Yeah.
The real show here.
Yeah, we're going to just go over the first round of the playoffs. We're going to go over the matchups, make our predictions for it.
By the way, this episode, we're going to forego favorite, least favorite, overrated, underrated, so that we don't have to blow over the playoffs. And can still put this in at about a 2 hours tops episode without just making it obnoxious.
Yeah. We will start with the President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche and the St. Louis Blues. I, for one, am hoping for the stadium to burn down around this. But that's just me.
I mean, the Avs are winning this series. Come on.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It was like somebody dared them to go win out the last 2 weeks of their season, and they were like, okay, bet.
They stayed in there. They stayed in the running for first in the division against 3 really good teams 2 really good teams. They were the third in Vegas and Minnesota. And they still stayed out there despite they have arguably the best line in hockey with McKinnon, Rantanen, and Landeskog. And there were very few points of the season where all 3 of those guys were healthy. And they didn't run away with it like we expected because of those health issues.
But they're still the number 1 offense in hockey this year.
Yeah. I mean, the Blues are a really good defensive team. I don't care how fucking good you are. You ain't beating this fucking team. Not in round 1.
No.
Deeper into the playoffs, we'll see. We'll go by that round by round. But for right now, no way this fucking team loses in round 1. No. And it is getting spicy in Florida once again.
Nice little cross-state rivalry going on here.
Yeah.
Love it.
Dylin, where do you sit on this Avs-Blues series?
I mean, it's pretty clear. Colorado, obviously. I would love to see us all be wrong. I hate St. Louis just as much as every single other person that watches the NHL does. But,
Their fans are the worst.
I mean, I would just love to see, as, you know, the Kings were the pioneers of the last place go for the run thing. I think St. Louis, they did it once already. I think they could do it again. It would surprise me to see an upset. I don't see any way they get past Colorado, but it sure as shit would be cool.
All right.
If we're talking about chances, I would give this a 70-30, which really might not sound like a lot, but in the NHL, that's a fucking blowout. No one ever has a 70-30.
Yeah.
No.
The Avs win this series. Sorry for cutting you off, Colt. Go ahead, buddy.
No, I just agree. The West was the one I would say I really.
They're going again.
Yeah, the West is the division that I don't want any 4 of these teams, to be honest with you, because all 4 of these teams create so many problems for you. Yep. But yeah, Avalanche, they're gonna fucking blow them out of the water.
Cooper's involved in this altercation. Sorry, we're kind of getting distracted by the game here. John Cooper and Quenville are both screaming at the benches here.
I think if we're distracted by watching a playoff game, it's acceptable.
Fair.
So we all have the Avalanche.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right.
And it's not even close. The Blues are a good team. It'll go deep, like 6-7 games, but I believe the Blues can push this to 6-7 games, but I have zero confidence they can fucking win it.
Agreed.
Anaheim. Vegas versus Minnesota.
Boy. All right, so this one we got to see game 1 today. Cole, you open up. This is your team, bud.
Here's where I'm going to stand with this. I'm actually really encouraged by what I watched today. I think this was the most favorable matchup for Minnesota.
Yeah.
Of the two. They were 5-1 and 2 against Vegas during the season this year. They're the only team to actually play Vegas. They're the only team that has double-digit wins against Vegas in their history, which is crazy.
That is. Actually,
that's a weird stat.
Yeah. Stat guy Cole.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think it's a good matchup. Today, I saw signs of what worries the shit out of me about what that Vegas team can do to you, which they can stretch the ice. I've heard.
You mean how they ran your show that entire fucking game?
That entire second period was not fun. The third period, the back end of the first period, the back end of the second period and the third period was way better, but those first period and a half was ugly.
You guys played them real smart. You let them kick your ass for 2 periods, so they were tired by the third. It's the Homer Simpson boxing strategy.
Right. I just think it's funny that we talked about Ryan Hartman today, and the dude had 4 breakaways.
Yeah. I was laughing at that, too.
Here's the problem Vegas creates. They're a Peter DeBoer team, so what they do is they dump the puck in deep, and then they beat the shit out of you. And it's just been like Peter DeBoer's bread and butter for years.
Yeah.
They can also stretch, like they have playmakers to stretch the ice. What kind of gives the Wild some luck? It doesn't look like Max Pacioretty is going to be in this series.
That's a big plus for you guys.
That's a big plus.
I absolutely hate Max Pacioretty, by the way. Least favorite player in the league.
Why?
I have no idea. It's just always been a deeply hated, deeply rooted hate for him.
Is it because his fans called the cops on Zdeno Chara?
Yeah, that's literally, I was getting there. It's literally because of the instance where he got his head absolutely demolished on the stanchion of the boards. Like, that could happen to anyone. It happened to be him and the
fan. It was pretty ridiculous that people called the cops and wanted Zdeno Chara to be arrested.
Yeah, that's exactly why I hate Max Pacioretty.
That's not his fault, though. Although it was kind of a bitch move when he survived the trade deadline his last year in Montreal. And in the interview, he pulled out a picture of his family. Yeah. He's like, "This is why I don't want to leave."
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up, Max. You're a great hockey player. Just say you don't want to leave because you think you're a good player and you deserve better. Don't show us a picture of your kids.
Sorry for interrupting.
You're good.
I had to put that out in the world.
That was good. I have Minnesota. They're not getting past the second round, though.
Okay, so this series, what I watched today, if it wasn't for Cam Talbot, that game would have been an absolute bloodbath. In favor of Vegas. But a hot goalie can take you farther than you have any right going.
Mm-hmm.
A veteran goalie that you may be overpaid.
Is Cam Talbot considered a veteran goalie now?
Yeah, I would say yes. Yeah.
If he is, he's like just this year hit the limit of what you could call a veteran goalie.
I'd say he's always been like a 1B guy. Like he's never been a go-to guy, but yeah, I'd say he's been around long enough.
I wouldn't say he's a guy you could say has been there, done that, but he's been around the league long enough to like.
Okay.
I agree.
You know.
Cam Talbot is the only reason you guys are up 1-0 in this series right now. I mentioned I mentioned how Thatcher Demko is the only reason that Vancouver hung in there with Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
This is a clone of that situation.
Yeah.
You guys got outplayed like a motherfucker today.
For 45 minutes of a 60-minute game.
But Cam Talbot threw a shutout.
Mm-hmm.
If Cam Talbot's going to do this whole series, you have a puncher's chance.
Right.
I have a hard time seeing it, though. I don't have a whole lot of faith in Cam Talbot as a playoff, like making a run playoff goalie. I don't know, man. I got to go. I'm rooting for the Wild, but I got to go with Vegas for who I think's going to win it. I don't think Talbot can do this for 7 games.
No, I don't either. What about you, Dylan?
I'm on Vegas. They've just been an absolute wagon since they've came into the league. They've steamrolled expectations and just about anyone else in the West that steps up against them. I don't see any way that they're going to face Colorado, and that's going to be the real dogfight. That's just what we're coming to. We're waiting to see who comes out of the West between Colorado and Vegas. So.
Well, we're trying not to focus on future rounds, but I will say whoever wins this series, you either get Colorado, who's probably just gonna buzzsaw you, or you get a fucking Blues team who's gonna be on a real high off of upsetting Colorado. Either way, I think whoever wins the series gets buzzsawed next round.
Yeah.
And that could change by the time this series, like this first round, is over. But
I have Colorado winning the cup, so
yeah.
The Wild got outplayed so bad. At the same time, Kaprizov, there were moments where I had to like look for him.
He did.
I don't expect him to be that silent this whole series. So
actually, today he was more. Today was a lot more of like a physical Kaprizov that I've never like.
He played good two-way. He played good defensively, which we haven't seen from him yet.
Yeah, he blew up Nozick like once or twice today. That the save everyone is talking about by Fleury on him. I mean, he had Fleury dead to rights, and I have no idea.
I was on the phone with you when that happened. You were so mad.
I have no idea how Fleury made that save, but yeah, we'll see.
At the same time, though, if we're talking about goalies determining a playoff series,
this could be the one.
The Penguins fan in me, I know that Marc-Andre Fleury has potential of going out there and laying an egg.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you have the Wild. I think they still... You guys know I hate superstitions. I hate cliches. But the Wild haven't been there and learned how to lose before they win.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of came out of nowhere and are suddenly contenders.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to trust a team like that. But for this one round, Fleury absolutely has it in him to just fall apart.
And we'll see. Mm-hmm. We'll see if the Wild can, if they only did give up 30-ish. Vegas only gave up 30-ish shots today. But if they kind of left him to make those saves a couple of times today.
You also really showed your Minnesota side with how many you-knows you threw in there.
Yeah, I know.
I
know.
You know.
I believe in the Wild, don't you know?
Don't you know? They did. Who knows? I'm going with Minnesota. You guys are going with Vegas. We all understand. Let's move to the Canadian division. First round matchup: Montreal, Toronto. Anybody want to pick Montreal?
No.
But at the same time, Toronto has struggled with Montreal through the regular season.
Yes, they have.
Toronto's worst games are against the teams they should fuck up.
Mm-hmm.
And You can never put choking in the first round past Toronto. That said,
says the guy who hates superstitions.
This is such a myth. Yeah. Fair point. With that said, this first round, this is such a mismatch. I don't think even Toronto can fuck this up.
No, I got Toronto. Doesn't help either that today Jesperi Kotkaniemi, Cole Caulfield, and I think it's Frolik all were wearing healthy scratch jerseys at practice.
Well, and you want to talk about an identity crisis. Montreal's goalie situation. Obviously, you go with Carey Price. He's considered, for some reason, still considered like a top 3 goalie in the league. Jake Allen is outperforming him, but Price is your guy. If you're on that coaching staff, you're second-guessing yourself every game, and I think that's one of the biggest problems. I think it's almost a problem when your backup is so good that he might be good enough to be your starter. Because you have to second-guess yourself every fucking game on if you're making the right call in net. And I think that's going to be a problem for them. And in a 7-game series, you make the wrong call twice and realize that it was the wrong call, but now you got to win 4 of the next 5 games. I think Montreal has... They obviously, they showed some signs. They're a good team. They're coming. They're not ready.
They're an up-and-coming team. That's exactly it.
They're not there yet. You don't want to go into the playoffs with a goalie controversy. Ever.
Well, we will see how that gets resolved this offseason, too.
We're unanimous, though. Toronto?
Yep.
Toronto. Yeah. The next matchup, Winnipeg at the Oilers. The Oilers are the number 2 seed. Winnipeg is the number 3 seed.
I'm taking Winnipeg.
There's the first disagreement of the day.
Yep. I knew it would be. Connor Hellebuck is a bad motherfucker. Winnipeg, their top 6 is insane. Their problem is depth, not the top of their lineup.
Right.
If you want to talk about heavy loaded, obviously Edmonton, yeah. I mean, when you have Ryan Nugent-Hopkins on your third line, you're good. Dude, Connor Hellebuck is going to steal this series. And
kind of were.
For the first round, I think that Winnipeg's top 6 is good enough to outscore their deficiencies. And I think the I think the Oilers don't know what the fuck they're doing.
That's
I think
fair.
I think the Oilers are in a very weird spot to be with the talent they have, front-loaded wise, and not to have anything on the back end. I just don't know how anybody can, in a 7-game series, says, yeah, I can beat Connor Hellebuck in a 7-game series.
Yeah.
That being said,
yeah, I mean, McDavid and Draisaitl, that's a real bitch there.
Exactly.
If anyone can do it, it's those 2 players. That's the problem with Edmonton, though. It's those 2 players.
You know what? I'm praying for Matthews, McDavid round 2. I'm going Edmonton.
All right.
That's honestly the hockey wet dream at this point.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm gonna go with Edmonton here. I mean, Connor McDavid alone can steal the show. I mean, no one else has even put even close to his point record since Lemieux. So, I mean, single-handedly, I think he's going to be the weapon that will change this game. It'll be the battle of the Connors, honestly.
For the record, I happen to be recording this episode in a Mario Lemieux jersey.
There you go.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That's Edmonton's chance. I'm picking Winnipeg. I don't think that 2 players can overcome Connor Hellebuck. Now, I understand the paradox there. I'm saying I don't know because they only have 2 players. With Edmonton, I'm saying 1 player. But that 1 player is their fucking goalie. And their top 6 is pretty fucking stacked. I like I said, I think Winnipeg can outscore their deficiencies in this series. And that combined with the best goalie in the NHL, I don't know, man. the stars can align. If Edmonton gets through this series, I could see them even winning the cup.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind
of
at.
If they get through this series.
Like, the only gripe against Connor McDavid right now is the fact that he doesn't have a cup. And what is stopping Connor McDavid, the single best player that we've ever seen in the NHL? What is stopping him from winning? Wayne Gretzky did it. I mean, obviously he had a significantly better supporting cast. But, I mean, all of the greats do it. Why can't he?
Let's throw down on best player we've ever seen, because I'm old enough that I got to see Lemieux. But yeah, no, you're right though. The
best player in this generation, and it's not close.
Yeah, no, even as a Penguins fan, I put McDavid over Crosby. He doesn't have the defensive game, but the scoring potential. Which, if Edmonton wins this game, they don't win it because of their defense. So that doesn't even really matter.
If we're just gonna dabble our toes into that argument, that is why I will always put Crosby well ahead of McDavid. It's because
the 200-foot
just
game.
How the lack of 200-foot game in Connor McDavid. It's gotten better this year, but
speaking of that though, if we're talking about Edmonton, Draisaitl plays defense now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
He's no standout. He's not getting any like even fifth place Selke votes, but he is showing up in the defensive zone now, which is a huge boost for them. But I don't know, man. I had no faith in Winnipeg coming into this season. But just a 7-game series, those are your only two guys. I think Hellebuck can withstand the storm. I think the Jets win this series.
Yeah. Let us move on to the Eastern Conference or Division, I guess.
This will be the fun one.
Fuck me.
I'm excited for this.
Let's start with the Penguins and the Islanders. The Penguins are already down 1-0 to the Islanders after an overtime victory today by the Islanders.
Let me advise that any of our listeners, go ahead and turn your phone down a little because me and Dylin are going to start yelling at each other.
I also want to put this on record that before the playoffs started, I had told Phil that I have the Islanders in 4. That's all I'm going to start off with.
I told him.
I don't know, and I don't care. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
All right. Make your argument first, and then I'll tell you why you're wrong. Go ahead.
Okay. So Pittsburgh is just such a run and gun style. They're very offensive, forward heavy. They're very heavy on the forecheck, very heavy into pushing into the zone with speed, with pressure.
And they've won 3 cups doing it.
Go on. You're right. And the the Islanders behind Barry Trotz are the premier defensive team, shutdown team that blocks the forecheck, that takes away, that plays honestly a horribly boring, terrible game to watch. But I mean, they win games. Defense wins championships. It's what if the Islanders, they're never ever going to win the cup in this situation. They're not. But they're going to take out Pittsburgh. They're going to do it early. It's going to be quick. It's going to be bad. It's going to look terrible on Pittsburgh. That's my hot take.
All right, so first of all, if you want to sway me, the best way to do it is to throw out defense wins championships, because I love those repeated sayings. Listen, I don't discount that the Islanders could beat us, but in 4 games, come on. In 4 games. I get today was actually the exact score of game 1 when we got swept by them last time. I know. It's a rough look.
History repeats. There's another one for you.
This whole thing, Barry Trotz hockey, that kind of hockey wins championships. Does it? Because it happened once. The Penguins single-handedly knocked him out multiple times themselves. John Tortorella, who plays coaches his teams to play Barry Trotz hockey, but on steroids, he knocked them out a few times when he was coaching the Rangers. Where does this Barry Trotz tradition of winning narrative come from? He had one year, and the team didn't bring him back.
A bunch of President's Cups, though.
Yeah, a bunch of President's trophies.
Yeah, I don't know if it's about him winning cups, because clearly that's not proven. He's done it once in a blue moon. but I mean, the fact that he's always going to provide a team that is hard as shit to play against, especially as a run and gun team like Pittsburgh. Someone that relies heavily on their offense is always going to run into a wall in New York, and they may not win games because they don't play that flashy style that is winning games in this current climate, but they're always going to be a competitor.
Yeah.
And they can take down any team, any night, any game.
They're going to be a competitor. First of all, I hate to bring this up. It's the regular season. The Penguins really stuck it to the Flyers in the regular season. We've seen it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not overlooking the Flyers. They could very well win this series. They're not going to sweep them, though.
Islanders.
You
said Flyers.
Fuck you, Colton. Fuck you. Oh, I thought you were just picking Islanders.
No, you said Flyers.
No, you said Flyers
it's
at
just
least
that
3
deeply
times.
rooted.
I've done that like 6 times tonight. I've called and it's always, I just call every team the Flyers for some reason tonight. So, the unstoppable force versus the immovable object is our offense against their defense. And that's fair. They might even have the edge there.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look at what's left. Their offense against our defense, I think we have the edge there.
I think this is... It's close, but...
It's close. I'd give it 60-40. But that 60 goes to the Penguins. I think we take this series. It won't be easy. It's going to go 6 or 7 games. More likely 7 since we lost game 1. Our big issue, though, that game today, boy... Tristan Jarry at moments stood on his fucking head and made absolutely outstanding saves. But of the 4 goals that the Islanders scored today, one of them should have been a goal. He had these moments where he looked ready. You know, this is his first time being the guy. Mm-hmm. And he, for the most part, looked ready. But some of those fucking, goddamn it. Some of those Islanders goals... I don't think guys were even really trying to shoot to score. I think they were just dumping it in, putting it on net to get the puck in deep, and Jarry just let it go in.
And that's how they win games. That's their horrible, boring Barry Trotz style that's going to surprise people, and it just did.
You play so boring that even the other team's goalie is bored. Like, that's fair.
If you have a team that's so well-tuned like Pittsburgh always has been, they've always had that line that is just absolutely shit on every other team. And the Islanders...
Listen,
Go ahead.
I don't think either of you are taking into account Freddie Gaudreau right now, and I think that's just
Freddie hockey, baby. Big part of that run for Nashville. First goal of the playoffs for the Penguins. That's all.
No, Dylan, just finish your...
And don't rule out Teddy Bluger.
Jesus fuck.
You guys knew it was coming.
I don't know where I was going with that. All I know is that there's going to be a terrible upset on Long Island, and I'm sticking to that, and you guys can talk to me at the end of the first round and roast me, and I will happily accept it. I'll wear the dunce cap. You know, we'll do whatever we gotta do, because Islanders are winning this series. It may not be in 4. I'll backtrack there. But Islanders win this series.
What a weak goal to give up.
3-2 Tampa. I didn't see it.
It's still 3-2 on our feed.
Oh,
there we go. There we go, baby.
Oh my god, what is that?
That was really fucking weak. That's Hubie Doobie Doo, though.
He didn't even pull a move. He didn't... He didn't undress him.
Did my favorite player Sam Bennett pick up an assist on that, though? I saw he was out there.
Yes, he did.
Of course he did. Told you, dude, that is the sleeper best trade of the deadline, getting Sam Bennett.
It's the number 11, I'm telling you.
quickly, just to wrap up this Islanders-Penguins series, I'm not even going to make a prediction on this one.
Holy fuck, it's like he lifted his leg to let it go in.
I know. That was bad.
That was real bad, sorry.
No, I can't really make a...
Yeah, I've dodged this one with you because I've wanted to hear your opinion on the pod.
Yeah,
Who do you think?
I see both arguments. I see Dylan's side, I see your side. My problem is Tristan Jarry ready to maintain this and take over the boat at this point? And I think you saw today is a perfect example of, is he quite ready
We've
to
seen
do it?
Jari have bad games like this all season.
Yep.
He usually
And he's
bounces back
recovered.
great.
He usually bounces back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if the playoffs are the time to have this kind of a game if you're him.
Yeah. Well, and especially with Casey DeSmith being hurt right now, it hurts that our backup is Maxim Lagasse.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, man. I'm fine with Jari, though. I think he's shown he bounces back from these games. Obviously, the playoffs is a different animal. But I'm not... It's going to be a tough series.
It's my official prediction is someone in 7.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's somebody in 7 games.
Gun to your head, you have to pick a team. Who are you going with?
Only because I can't even, it's hard to even make that argument and say, like, I trust another rookie goalie better than the other rookie goalie.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, their rookie goalie is better than our rookie goalie, if we're being fair. Right. If I had my choice of Sorokin or Jari, I'm taking Sorokin.
Any day.
In this situation, I trust Sorokin more, so I'm going to go with the Islanders in 7.
All right, fuck both of you. Dylan, get out of my house. This is the last ever episode of Homertown Hockey.
All right, it's been great talking to you guys.
Thank you. Let's move on to the other series that has already 1-0. That is Capitals Bruins.
This is a street fight.
Yep.
This is a 7-game knockdown, drag out brawl.
Yep.
I had Boston. I had Boston going, but I don't know what. Washington will always put up a fight, but they also historically have not put up that fight as well sustainably throughout the playoffs. So I think Boston is just the better workhorse team.
They're going at it again. Jesus Christ, I love this Florida rivalry, man.
Noah Chari in there.
Sorry,
he's not even the.
Finish
He's not
what you
even
were saying.
gunner.
I'm sorry, but Jesus Christ, I love it.
But Boston, I'd say, is more of the workhorse team. They're going to be more consistent every night. That's who you're expecting to perform. And then Washington will maybe, like a significantly better Islanders, will be one of those teams that will just always be annoying to compete against. It could always win a game any given night.
That's the thing with Washington, man. If you look up and down their roster, they are arguably... You could look at this team on paper, and other than the heavy loaded part up front, you could look at their depth and say they're not a very good team. But, much like Winnipeg, that top 6 can beat anyone on the right night.
Mm-hmm.
I lean towards Boston. Reason being, at the beginning of the year, Boston was struggling. Before Pasta came in, he was hurt at the beginning.
And they've absolutely found their footing since then.
Oh, and especially since the trade deadline, bringing Taylor Hall in.
Mm-hmm.
Because Boston was one of those teams all year. They were never at any one point particularly impressive. But even at the times where they were actively bad, you knew they were a sleeping giant.
Mm-hmm.
Boston is the type of team that I think it's a strength for them to come into the playoffs quietly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is a legit... Even if the Penguins survive this first round, I'm picking Boston. As a Penguins fan, though, I'm rooting for the Capitals. Because, better the devil you know. We have a chance against the Capitals. Boston is going to fuck Pittsburgh up if that's the second round. It's really tough. These two teams are so evenly matched. Capitals are top heavy. Boston is deep. But I gotta go with Boston because they are deep enough they can do it night after night, whereas the Capitals have to rely on the right nights.
Mm-hmm. Dylan, what say you?
Final verdict. I have Boston going all the way to the finals facing Colorado in my bracket. I see them... I say Tampa Bay is going to be the biggest threat right now in the East out of anybody. If it's going to be someone versus Tampa Bay in my eyes, and it's going to be Boston versus Tampa Bay, And then that is going to be the real dogfight that we see
this year.
Let's go Panthers, baby!
4-3.
See, Tampa Bay's not going to make it to that because they're going to lose in the next round.
Okay, I literally jinxed it as I say that.
Hold on. Phil, you're going to scare away the new friend, so let's calm down. Second of all,
yeah, I know you saw the goal like 2 minutes ago.
I did. Second of all,
were you just waiting to see me react to it?
I was hoping you didn't see it, especially when he started saying that he had Tampa.
Oh no, that's so bad.
Do we want to move on to that series now? Then
I'm just gonna give my official prediction because we'll go over the next matchup too because I think we can walk over that one.
Yet. Go ahead.
Gun to my head prediction again with this one. It's Capitals in 7.
Ooh. Okay.
That's gun to head. Gun to head. If I find it. Capitals in 7, but my biggest worry is that Vandisek is going to be out for long term, and if he's out long term, then they're fucked.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Ooh, that's real rough, too, to fucking pull something going into the splits on your first ever playoff goal against.
Mm-hmm.
That's demoralizing.
Even as a Penguins fan, I can't take joy in it.
No.
Like, it sucks.
Hate to see it.
Yeah. Let's get these final 2 matchups out of the way. Hurricanes, Predators. In the Central Division.
The most insignificant matchup in
the Hurricanes are gonna
Hurricanes 100%. What are we even talking about?
You're playing to get throttled in the next round. That's really all it is. So
yeah,
whoever it is, congratulations, you lost round 2. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh, that said, I disagree because the next round is going to be against Florida, and the Hurricanes have fucking throttled Florida all year.
But if they get through Tampa Bay,
hey, you guys should look at your TV here in a second.
Oh no.
Oh boy.
Okay, that said, if they get through Tampa Bay before I see whatever's happening right now, because Colt's on a delay here.
Well, we're on the delay.
We're on the delay,
but
are they about to fight?
Oh
no. Ooh, Sorelli real mad.
Sorelli's pissed.
Is this what you were talking about?
Yep, this is what I'm talking about.
I thought it was going to be a goal.
I thought so too.
No,
you got me excited.
Dude, look at that mustache. What's he doing?
I know,
fucking with a guy
right?
who clearly fucks way harder than he does.
Okay, well then, yeah, let's all just go quickly. Hurricanes, we're all taking the Hurricanes.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's just...
it's not a...
Nashville shouldn't even be here.
No.
Right.
Nashville's there because that division was really fucking weak.
They needed a 4th place.
Yeah.
4 through 8.
Yeah.
Exactly. Someone had to be 4th place, and Nashville won the sweepstakes.
They're the biggest loser. Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then, yeah, agreed. And then we will get up to what clearly has shown up to be the best matchup of the weekend.
Yep.
And that's Panthers Lightning. And I'll let you two have your fisticuffs.
The Panthers are taking this series.
No way.
But it is so tight. This is the tightest matchup, I think.
This is the best of all. And also, Florida, a team that has struggled for years, like trying to build a fan base. Exactly what they need is that cross-state rivalry for it to come this year and for the Panthers to be so good, especially because they're better than the Lightning. Andrei Vasilevsky has kind of looked like shit lately. That goal, we were talking about it as it happened. He fucking lifted his leg up and let the puck... He had the save made, and then he lifted his leg a little and the puck slid under. It's like Vasilevsky has looked bad. Victor Hedman is not having his best year. I know you're going to say Kucherov and Stamkos. Stamkos, not traditionally a good playoff player. Kucherov hardly played in a year now. And
he already
also,
had 2 goals tonight, though.
Me and Colt have talked about, yeah, he is having a good night. He has 2 goals. But that series where they got swept by Columbus, Kucherov was actively detrimental to this team. He got suspended. Kucherov also has it in him to fuck up in the playoffs. the Panthers lose Aaron Ekblad and fill the spot with Brandon Montour and still keep going. That's a fucking team right there. I've been picking the Panthers for years now, saying every year I say, like, this is the year they're going to be good. This is the year that I actually gave up on them and stopped doing it. But this is a fucking team. They're outside of the Penguins on NHL. They're my favorite team to play with if someone else is the Penguins, because they just have so many fucking fun players. And also, my boy, Patrick Hornquist, coming in.
I knew you were gonna get to it.
He's been fucking great for them. He's been great. They have the most underrated, even though he's not underrated anymore, player in Alexander Barkov. The Panthers take this series. That's it.
Dylin, rebuttal.
Again, I'm just going with the core, the proven core. I'd say Florida has shown they can't have shown anything in the playoffs because they haven't ever made it to the point where they're facing a team that's fresh off a Stanley Cup championship that has an extremely established core in Kucherov. Stamkos, okay, you can make the argument for the injuries there. I wouldn't say he's even an established core. I don't even think he's a part of the future at this point. But Stamkos. I'd say Stamkos is on his way out shortly, but I don't see a buyer for him, and that's his biggest chance of staying in Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay is just...
He's not wrong.
Whoa. Yeah, no,
so there's a big drop. There's a big drop there.
But at the same time, not a lie was spoken.
Yeah. I mean, the time for Stamkos to come out, prove himself, gain trade value, because right now he doesn't have any realistically. If he were to gain trade value coming off of 2 Stanley Cups, being the captain, actually showing up, playing in the playoffs, and making yourself known as, the guy that can show up when the team was doubted against a team such as Florida, who is apparently the main dog here. Tampa Bay being the Cup champions, coming in as an underdog, just surprises me. I don't see a way that they don't the Tampa Bay has this other gear that they can click into pretty much whenever they decide. We've seen it when they won they had the most winningest record in the NHL. They can just click in and win whenever they want on demand. But
that same year we saw them able to click into that gear,
and then get swept.
We also saw them not able to click into that gear.
That's very fair.
Yeah.
So it could be a wild card.
That's the thing. All right, Tampa at their best absolutely destroys Florida. Florida at their average beats most teams. Florida just sitting at average, just the way they play on an average night. They don't need to rely on things clicking and the stars aligning and having that big night. They're fucking
They just
deep.
need to go out there.
They're fun as fuck to watch also. Jonathan Huberdeau, a goal and 2 assists tonight. I have a real hard time picking anyone over Florida other than maybe Carolina.
Here's my take on this. I think part of this too, if this series starts in Tampa Bay instead of Sunrise, we're talking about a very different thing right now.
They had a bit of a dogfight for those top 3 spots.
Well, here's the thing: is these 2 teams knew they were playing each other for a month.
Oh yeah, it was a matter of who got home ice.
And they were talking about it. Like, Florida players were like, "We hope they're sitting there going, holy shit! I hope they're ready to play Florida." Or even some Tampa players are like, "I can't wait to see them again and fuck them up." Like,
and on that note, did Florida not rise to it though?
Florida's risen to it at every point. I'll be interested to see what some of these returning guys for Tampa Bay are going to look like. Am I bought into the... Yeah, Fat Pat.
The line of the year. That's going to be a t-shirt quote.
Okay.
The first Homertown hockey shirt won't even have the name of our podcast on it. It's just going to say Fat Pat. I said that as a joke, but I'm going to message Jake when we get off.
I think Phil, you and I will have a problem with that, seeing as our league that we play deck hockey in
is run by a guy
named Pat. If we get enough of those sold, we'll kind of have a rebellion starting at our own league.
If I wanted to make a Pat Levesque shirt, the front would say Bud and the back would say Yap.
Yeah.
My official prediction for this bitch is going 7 games, and
oh, absolutely, yeah. But the Panthers are winning it in 7.
I'm struggling. My problem with the Panthers is if there's a little bit of adversity in this series. If they have a bad night, if what happens when they get to Tampa Bay and the lights get shit out on them. I'll be interested to see how they recover. I'm gonna hesitantly take Tampa Bay in 7 on this one.
But what you said about when the lights go out on them, for that to happen to Florida, their production has come throughout the lineup all year.
It has.
It requires a bunch of guys going cold all at the same time for that to happen. Tampa, we've seen it happen with Tampa.
I'm more talking about when they get to Tampa Bay and they have to play and Tampa Bay gets that home ice behind them, and I'll be interested to see, like Dylin said, will the experience of having just been there, done that, outweigh a young group of kids who's like, you know what, fuck you, I don't care.
That said, they're going at it again, man. This
exactly.
And does
what we
Florida
said about
have
Boston and
side?
Washington and how it's gonna be a street fight. This
it's
series, all out fucking carnage, and I'm so here for it.
I mean, this has everything Florida in it: a lightning storm, a panther, and a bunch of rats.
Yes.
They should pay Scott Mellenby to come into the locker room before a game and just sacrifice a rat.
Honestly.
I mean,
all right.
The Panthers are they're so good. They're deep. It's the whole team doing it. If they survive this series, their next challenge is probably Carolina.
Not even probably. It is Carolina.
Their only chance is if Carolina gets upset. But if that happens and they manage to get through Carolina, who is stopping a Panthers team that just overcame Carolina?
Nobody.
Moving forward.
Right.
If the Panthers come out of this division, they're my favorite.
Yeah.
I don't want the Penguins to see them. And the Penguins play well against Carolina, so I'm rooting for that one. But if they get through this, they probably get buzzsawed by Carolina. If they get through Carolina, it's their year.
Yeah.
They're so good.
And we will see. I know we talked about it at the beginning of the podcast year, during this season, but we just kind of said, how long is this going to last from Florida? And they never gave you a reason to say, oh, this is over. It just kept going and going and going.
They've been the most sustainably good hockey team that we've seen come out of absolutely nowhere. They should have been nothing, and then they ended up becoming an absolute playoff contender, and they could win the cup, and it wouldn't surprise anyone at this point.
The thing with Florida, though, they've been that team. They've been good for a long time. All the things we said about the Rangers, the Kings, hanging in there every game, Florida's biggest problem has been that they get into those trading chances for chances, and they haven't had the goaltending to sustain that model. But their offense, they've been one of the most fun teams in the league to watch for a long time.
For the last 2 or 3 years now.
And also, Dale Talon, balls of steel. While this team was rebuilding, letting Dadonov go and not flinching on it.
Yes.
Right.
I always question that move.
Letting Marchessault, trading Riley Smith to make sure Marchessault goes to Vegas. This team, Dale Talon knows what he wants out of this team, and he has willingly put sacrifices on the block for it to get to where they are. This is the team he wants out of them.
Yeah.
Like I said, outside of the Penguins, the Panthers are my favorite team. I love this team. And even before they got Patrick Hornquist. And then once they got Hornquist, who is my favorite player, then they went out and got the guy I wanted the Penguins to get at the deadline, and Sam Bennett.
Sam Bennett.
Who, by the way, fucking nasty since he got to Florida. This team, they're physical, they're fun. Like, they don't just play physical where they just bog you down in the neutral zone. They play you physical while stretching the game. No one does that anymore.
You're right.
This team is so fun.
You're right.
Like, you can't call yourself a hockey fan if you're not at least kind of liking the Panthers right now.
Right. And again, my biggest question is how
ready are they? I get
it. Yeah. It's how ready are they? And I mean, obviously they showed up tonight.
Well, and that's a very fair criticism. How ready are they?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's not this year, though, the Panthers are a team now, and they're going to be a problem for a lot of people for a few years
for a
here.
long time.
They have dude, Barkov is so fucking good.
Right, because we've already we'll wrap this up. We've already talked about next year. This Lightning core is probably going to get blown up because of the cap situation that they're facing.
Yeah, they can't put people on long-term injured reserve all season forever.
Right.
They're not the Blackhawks.
So, it's...
Fuck you, Marian Hossa.
I mean, one of those things where it's like, could this team be the up-and-comer that we've, are we looking at the Florida Panthers realistically as finally no longer a joke?
I don't think that's even a question. I think absolutely not. I think the question is, are the Panthers the next Penguins, Blackhawks, Kings, like real dynasty for a couple years?
That is a big say there. I don't know.
That is a big...
That is huge.
I'm telling you, man, I'm all in on this team. They are really fucking good. And also, you'd love to see it because they are so entertaining. The way they play, wide open and
Radko Gadas, I think, just got ejected from this game. Holy shit!
We'll see it in a minute.
Okay, I just want to say that Florida reminds me a lot of what we saw with Philly a couple years ago, and I see that same level rise and hard crash here in a couple years. Yeah, maybe they have a good couple years, but did they really, they have Barkov, but besides that, did they really have a sustainable high-level top three? Huberdeau, Barkov.
Hornquist sold. He's on his way out. Aaron, you got your fucking borderline Norris contender defenseman. What you need a star forward, the very basic building blocks of a championship team. You need your Hart candidate forward.
Barkov.
Your Norris candidate defenseman.
Ekblad.
And your Vezina candidate goalie.
But
Bobrovsky picked it up a lot in the middle of the season.
Not $10 million worth of...
Absolutely
Bobrovsky.
not, but they're young enough that they can afford to wait that contract out while keeping their core.
Can they? What if all of these players that we're seeing tear off right now expect a pay grade?
Down.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, you're right. Florida is in a really, really good contract situation right now.
I can't believe we haven't brought it up. Keith Yandle,
yeah.
Fucking stud.
And
also reliability. Every night he's up there with Kessel for the longest Ironman streak.
I had a bold pick in our little conversation that we had. Keith Yandle to the Hall of Fame?
I don't know about that.
No, okay.
If the Panthers win a cup with him, yes.
If the
Panthers win a cup with him, maybe.
We are seeing Patrick Marleau as a legitimate Hall of Fame contender. What has he done besides play all of these games? He's never led a team to a cup. He's never won anything. And he's a legitimate contender just because of the fact that he's played all of these games. Why can't Keith Yandle, playing the most games in a row sustainably while producing?
Keep in mind, it's the Hockey Hall of Fame, not the NHL Hall of Fame, and Patrick Marleau has some gold medals internationally.
Okay.
Keith Yandle does not have that.
Yeah. That's fair.
But I can't see a world where Keith Yandle makes it to the Hall of Fame. I'd love it, man. I love Keith Yandle. Everyone that likes to drink beer and watch hockey loves Keith Yandle.
Do you think Florida retires his number? Like, do you think that becomes?
Oh yeah.
If they win a cup with this core, a bunch of numbers get retired.
Huberdeau, Barkov, Yandle would be
the Lightning tied it.
Oh man.
Yeah, dude.
Let's wrap this up and head down to the bar for overtime.
Yeah, we'll finish this up. Here, Keith Yandle falls under that category of a dude who's going to get his number retired by his team, not by the NHL.
That's fair.
Well, only one guy's had his number retired
by the NHL. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah.
You know what he's like. Obviously not. Just because he got in the Hall of Fame.
He's detrimental to
just really quick, because it pisses me off, especially because I right now have a beef with this team because we're playing them. Does it make anyone else sick how many numbers the Islanders have retired?
They're like the Yankees. It's such a
They just retired so many. They've only had 4 good years ever. And granted, yes, those 4 years, they won 4 Stanley Cups in a row. So, fair. Yeah. But they have, like, third liners with their numbers retired and shit. It's like, dude, the Penguins, we only have 2 numbers retired. Mario Lemieux and LaRouche. I can't even remember his first name. And it actually sucks because I like number 21 and I can't use it on NHL and be a pro because he was number 21 and his thing was he was should have been a really good player but tragically died young. Like he was like a tribute number retirement. Granted, we're waiting until Jágr retires from professional hockey altogether to retire 68. I'm sure we're going to retire 87 and 71.
Exactly.
Possibly 58. Oh, yeah. We might as well retire 58 just because who the fuck else is ever going to wear number 58?
Right.
Like, it's a pretty weird fucking number. That's Letang's number. He's earned the right.
That's fair.
You're going to have to retire 16 at some point.
53, Teddy Bluger.
Jesus Christ.
All right, let's get done with this.
Hey, I'm just saying, can you name a better number 53? Can you name other 53?
Okay, but
at one point Nick Schultz wore number 53 for the Minnesota Wild.
Okay, he not as good as Bluger, up there.
But if we're going to talk shit about the Islanders' banners, we have to talk shit about Nashville's banners, and that's all I'm going to leave it at. We all know what Nashville's banners are, and it's a fucking joke.
When that got hung up, that was very thoroughly covered on this podcast.
Yeah.
Back when the podcast was called Hockey Hangover.
It's a fucking joke, and if we're talking about the Islanders, we have to throw them in
To be fair to Nashville, though, a lot of teams have those banners. It just really sticks out when it's Nashville because it's their
They haven't done anything else.
Yeah. The Penguins have some regular season conference champion banners up. We also have 5 Stanley Cup banners, so you don't notice them.
Exactly. Even the Kings 2 banners look pretty good in comparison to the Western Conference champions.
If we're talking about banners, I've heard that the upper bowl at Madison Square Garden is really fucking cold because there's no banners to fucking break the wind.
Ooh. Oh, man.
Fuck the Rangers.
That hurts.
That's the last thing I'm saying.
Yep, that ends the podcast.
Okay, I approve this message. Slapstickclothing.com. Jake, see the thing. I've said it 3 times tonight.
Peace out, you fuckers.
You've been great. Peace out.